for me, the 5 probably most important things I learned throughout my career, and they're obvious things, but number 1 is that personal relationships matter. You know, I think as I look back at my career, many of the jobs I've had the opportunity to take were all given by relationships that I had, and not by, you know, applications or interviews, and it's based on relationships. And then in the world that I live in now, from a decision-making standpoint with new partners or current partners, it's all driven by, the success of it's all driven by the personal relationship you have with that person sitting across the table from you. And so it's probably the most important thing, not just in our business, but really in any business. The second thing that I talked about today was, you know, learning from your mistakes. We all make mistakes, you know, make a lot of them, but how do you learn from them and make yourself better? Talked about, you know, how old school is the new school, you know, sending handwritten thank you notes and how important that is, and dressing for success and showing up, you know, for work, you know, like you're ready to have success. So I think the 2 most important things that have changed in the sports business marketplace, I think number 1 is just consumption. You know, how sports are consumed in general now. It changes every year. There's so much fragmentation in the sports world. You know, I talked about some Nielsen information that I looked at, that if you go back to 2005, you know, I think 14 of the top 100 shows on television were sports programs, and now I think greater than 95% of the top 100 programs are sports programs. So it shows you the power of sports, number 1, but even in that medium, there's so much fragmentation. And so I think how people consume sports is changing, and mobile and digital and everything's growing, and social. And so how do you continue to stay relevant in that marketplace? The second thing is, if you go back 15 or 20 years, you know, awareness was the number 1 metric looked at, right? You know, how do you create awareness through signage, and is my signage in the end zone the biggest or the outfield the biggest? And I think that it's driven now by, how do you drive purchase? You know, the only question we try to answer for our partners is, how do you help them grow their business? And I think that's really been a shift over the last 20 years, and I think it comes down to measurement and metrics and objectives and business to business, which is really a sweet spot for Penske and what we do really, really well. And so I think, you know, that's really probably the 2 most fundamental changes. Are you helping that partner grow their business? And within our business, we create dashboards for our partners, and we look at mutual objectives and what do they want to accomplish. And so when you're sitting down for a partner to have that renewal conversation, you know, I think the good thing to look at is that dashboard and see, you know, what were their objectives, and are you helping them grow their business? You know, the branding and the awareness and all that's important, but are you helping them drive their business is the one question that should be answered. I think the number 1 thing to the success of a partnership is culture. You know, I look at Penske, and we've got an average tenure of 13 years with our partners, and I think a big part of that is because we have shared cultures with our partners. And I think that whenever you sit down with a partner and start to have a conversation, I think you got to have that conversation. Do you have integrity, similar integrity, you know, common goals? Are your cultures the same? And I think that will allow you eventually to be successful, and I think that's got to be at the foundation of every partnership.